All right. Welcome to Section 31. I'm still waiting for the ding. Episode number 301. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week we've got kind of a scattered episode. We've got things to look forward to in more than one way. We've got a expectation of 1E regionals and triple regionals. We've got a 2E spoiler from a future set number 36, judging by the number down there. There was an event in the Trek game that you played. We could talk about that. Yep. And there's a newsletter. Anything else?
No, that sounds good.
All right. So what do you want to start with?
Well, let's take a look at this newsletter thing, because this is a lot of information that I think we kind of had scattered, but it was cool to kind of see it all collected in one spot, and some stuff that we didn't know.
Yeah, there was a nice spoiler in there, a new con, and that'll play nicely with the spoiler that we have later on. But the Fizbin errata, that's something that we tested locally the last time we had a Tribbles event. It seemed to work pretty well. I was playing a Fizbin-ish deck, and it still did well enough to win. So I don't think that kills it or anything. Is this coming up for 2 pages for you as well?
It looks kind of like it's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's in multiple pages. It's 3 pages, in fact.
Oh yeah, I gotta keep scrolling down. There's a spoiler.
So it's a nice sort of full page look at. Instead of looking at the tournament page, you can kind of see a full schedule of all the regionals tournaments that are happening. Nice, like a bulletin style set of news that we haven't seen in a while. That kind of went well with the. Did you see the April Fool's Day webpage?
That was amazing.
I logged in completely by accident. I was just looking for something else. I was like, "What does this card say again?" And I was like, "Whoa." I went through a time warp.
Sometimes some sort of temporal micro wormhole.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had to click on every last thing because they were all reallocated so well that I just needed to click on everything to see where everything went. That was great.
But this is sort of akin to that, a little harken back to those days, which is nice. So that's very cool, very well put together by our new director of public relations. And hopefully something we can look forward to in the future, especially those spoilers.
Yeah. No. I'm very impressed with how it all came together. Have you played a con, a To Rule in Hell con deck?
I haven't. I think that was right around when I was not starting to be disillusioned with 2E, but enough that I didn't want to come anymore.
Sure. It's funny because the To Rule in Hell card, I'm looking at it again and seeing it kind of for the first time, the picture of all the masked figures. Seeing the printouts, I don't know if I've ever actually looked at it on the screen. I always thought it was just some weird mountain range. Now I understand what it is. That's weird. Anyway, I want to say that I've played a couple of con-style decks, but never with To Rule in Hell, I don't think. It's very similar to the Delta Quadrant, do all space missions and get a bunch of points. Do all planet missions and get to 120. This new con lets you do the thing. I mean, you get to grab the ship and put it in your discard pile right away, so you don't worry about drawing it later, not being able to download it and play it, etc.
Right. So that's a nice boost.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to get something.
Yeah, and the cost 4 is about what the that was the one from the Genesis, right? Was cost 4? I want to say the other one was cost 2.
No, the
are they both 4?
Other one is cost 3. The other past one, was 3. The Matching Commander, and then the Genesis one is cost 4. So. He's a little pricier than the other past one, but he's got I think that goes with his ability. He's very powerful.
Yeah, pick any 2 cards. Pretty much you get whatever whatever genetically enhanced dude you need, or any other card really, and then like I said, the ship to dump it in your discard pile so that you get your machine going later on when you finally solve a mission. Anything else you want to talk about the little what do you call the newsletter here?
No, I don't think we need to go, pick it apart, but I think it was good to call attention to it since it's here, and if people aren't looking at it, they should. They should go read it. You can get the content there. We're not going to rehash it all.
Very good. Then we'll look forward to hopefully this time next. In 4 shows, in 4 weeks, and we'll get another one of these and then keep it going.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Do you want to segue into the 2E spoiler then?
I think that works well because this would clearly be a great choice to go straight into that deck. And, we got this intelligence transmission, including this spoiler, and I had just traveled to Regula on timelines so I could go get some augment transmissions. So it was weird to then pop this up and have Regula be the name of this mission.
That's funny.
And it's the mission is Exact Vengeance at the location Regula. And it's planet mission. It's non-align only, so it really fits in with that con theme. And it's got some of their trademark skills and the requirements: exobiology, leadership, treachery, cunning.
Yeah,
greater than 32. So
cunning greater than 32. So 5 guys, right?
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, and you're safe from the thing with the stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's
Insurrection.
Insurrection. It's got a span of 2, and it's only 30 points, but while this mission is complete, each of your missions with span 4 or more is worth 5 more points. So if you're going to go with just the con theme, right now, according to the deck builder, there are only 2 other missions. Now they're thematic. One is Genesis Planet, and the other is Shaka Ray. So
wow,
they're both movie era stuff. I don't know. Shaka Ray's 50 points. That's going to be rough. Yeah, and you got to do this mission second because you play To Rule in Hell on City Alpha 5, get your ship into Regula, and then you go to, I guess, maybe go do Shaka Ray for 50 points. That would probably put you over. That's got to put you over 120. Or do you go with 4 missions, or something around the corner strategy? I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Well, can you do Genesis and then blow it up?
That's it. You do Genesis for 4 or 5 extra points, and then you use those 5 points to turn into a space mission, and now you got 100 points straight up, right? All right. Anything else in the card? Let's see. It's got a unique dot, of course. Alpha Quadrant, 30 points. The collector's information at the bottom is 36V27.
And it's got some lore on here, which is a classic con quote. I'll chase him around the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
All right, that's enough of that. I'll stop the screen share there. So yeah, it's a picture of the dead planet that they had a cave inside of. Have you seen the like? Yep. And yeah, good stuff. I have no picture. Why do I have no picture?
I don't know. You still have your screen share up.
That's weird. All right. Well, maybe it'll come back to me. I'll let you talk then, because your picture come up.
Well, as I mentioned, I was just poking around on timelines, which I know several of our continuing committee folks play because we have a fleet together in the game. And this weekend, I know you ceased, so I thought I would share with you something interesting that they've been doing. They did their first game-wide event this past weekend. It started on Thursday, and it went through today, 9 a.m. Pacific, so noon Eastern. And it was, the theme was, they came from the holodeck, and it was Chaotica and all of his minions, all of the holograms from all the different Voyager holodeck episodes had come together and were wreaking havoc on things. And so you had to get Captain Proton and Queen Arachnia together and go and fix everything. So the caveat was Federation missions, shuttle missions were your your reputation was suspended for the duration, and when you did Federation shuttle missions, you would get points, event points. Any Janeway and any Tom Paris would give you a bonus.
Okay.
And then as you build up points, you're helping. There was a standings for event points, and based on where you fell in the standings, you got rewards, and it was actually very cool. I kind of was hesitant to jump in on it at first when I read the description, because they announced it a couple of days in advance. But they were very cool about, like, there were extra rewards for anybody who participated. There was not a you have to hit this threshold or you don't get anything. So I felt like the missions were paying out a little better. You got a little more. I definitely had got more ultra rare XP bump scrolls than I had from any of the other missions I've been doing. They had a special bundle you could buy, which I never had enough dilithium to get the 10 buy, which was a bummer, because you were guaranteed either a proton or an arachnia, which is super rare and ultra rare respectively. And so I was really hoping to get an arachnia that way. But I didn't have enough dilithium. I was not going to have enough dilithium to do a 10 buy before the end of the event. So I did single buys over the course of the days. I did get a proton, which was nice. That helped me. I got that right away. And so I had another Tom Paris to help, and I buffed him up. I got another one as a reward. So because as you hit level thresholds, there were rewards. And so sometimes they were just equipment, and sometimes they were transmissions or XP buffs, but every now and then you'd hit a good one. And fairly early on, there was a decent Captain Proton. So I got to merge those, and then a couple later were equipments that he needed that were transmission only. So that was cool. And it was just fun. It was kind of cool to go along, and you could watch the tiers of rewards and where you fell. I was kind of hoping to break the top 1,000 so I could get an arachnia that way. But I ended up falling around the 1,500s, which is still pretty good. I got 3 more Captain Protons, so I was able to completely 4-star out my Captain Proton.
Nice.
That's my first 4-star maxed out. So that was very cool.
How does a maxed out 4-star attributes compare to the lowly 1 and 2 stars that I'm familiar with?
Well, I was looking at his best score is leadership, or his best skill, and I was looking at my leadership. He's still only 40th level because I haven't got a chance to buff him all the way up XP wise, but he's like 4th in the standings of all of my people, and like the people below him are all way below him, and the next person up is only about 10 points higher in skill and is 30 levels higher.
Why, yikes. So that's going to make a huge difference. Cool. Well, I'm glad that worked out well. I remember Matt and Charlie talking about it on Friday night. So I'm glad there were no crazy weirdness that happens when a company tries to do something new and different like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like there was very clearly, if you wanted to run away with it and spend money on it, you could totally buy the win, because you can always spend dilithium to speed up a shuttle mission. So I mean, if you've got the money to burn, you can win, and but if you've got that kind of money, you probably spent it on getting guys already. So I don't know if it's that important to win. But the guy who won, it was far and away like the top 3. It was like nobody was catching the top guy, nobody was catching the second guy. Then there was a big jump, and 3 and 4, or maybe 4 and 5 were like right next to each other, and then there was another big jump. And so it was like, well, this is not really, and I don't have to worry about hitting these tops. I was like I said, my goal was to bust the top 1,000. That I didn't quite make that, but other than that, my next goal was to try and get into the tier to get some more Captain Protons, and I got that. It was fun, and I had a good time doing it. It was interesting reading all of the missions were unique to the storyline. New new missions. You get to read those. And yeah, it was a cute little idea. I'm interested to see what they learn from it. I didn't think there was anything terribly wrong with it, but it might have been. I think it could have been a day shorter. By the end, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. This can be done now. Because there was not enough variety, I think, for the amount of time that they had. But it was still a cool idea. It was for the first run. It was really interesting, and so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if they do it again and what they do differently if they do change it up.
Well, it sounds like it's, financially they're probably making money for the people that buy into it. So, there's probably enough people that pay the money and get the financials going, that support the kind of thing.
Sure.
So the freeloaders like myself would be able to still play. Did you notice anybody else in the fleet, in the TCC fleet, on the leaderboards?
Well, you didn't really get to see it. There were a lot of people on the board, and so you basically got to see the top. You could look at the top, which was like the top 25, and then you could see the 25 around you.
Right, so that's a pretty small slice of the thousands in the.
Yeah, I couldn't really find a way to look at the full list. Maybe it was on the website or something. If you know, poke us and let us know, and we can go check it out. Or if you participated and you had some feedback, feel free to send that in. We can talk about that too.
Charlie ended up 468th.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You just sent a text to us. All right. Well, sounds fun. I've considered reinstalling and see if my, all the things that I put in were still there, but I still got too much writing to do, and I've got too much other stuff right now. So yeah. I'll pass for a little while longer. But glad to hear that you guys are still having a good time. Let's see. What else have we got to talk about then? Shall we go into the audio episode that we listened to?
Yes.
All right.
Because if we don't, we'll have listened to it for nothing.
And we wouldn't want that because. All right. So this was, in my opinion, a bit of a step down from the first one, story-wise, and I tell you, I think it really suffered from way too many characters in an audio-only format. Did you feel the same way?
I'm inclined to agree. Definitely step down. Definitely too many characters. They did try to keep them distinct, their voice types, but you met them all at once, and so it was tough to remember. Okay, that's that voice and that's that voice, and they're doing that. There was also something that was not as bad last time that we kind of commented on expecting came out this time, which was the copious descriptive. Actually, it wasn't even visual descriptive; it was exposition. When Kirk is going off about, you mean the Coriolanus Vance who did this and this and this and this? And
all right, he did say two hilarious things though. I really did. Turning the water supply to Jello. I laughed out loud. That was funny. I wonder why they couldn't just use Harry Mudd, but that probably.
I know, like they clearly wanted it to be him or the guy with the tribbles, Cyrano Jones.
Yep. So they had to make a new Coriolanus Quince, the slime of the galaxy or whatever, who's just running around destroying things. But anyway, so basically the story is they're going to negotiate for the mineral rights to this planet, which happens to be right in the middle of Federation, Romulan, and Klingon territory. So there's going to be a conference, and Kirk and Spock beam down after an interesting conversation with Mr. Scott, in which I think he used haggis as a curse.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
That's hilarious.
I laughed at that.
Yeah, that was great. So even this, I think this was like 16 minutes or so, which was probably about 5 minutes too long. But they did cram a lot of story into it. But there were still parts I laughed at. So I can't say I didn't completely enjoy it. They beam me onto the planet. They tell them there's another random Federation delegate here, and turns out to be some weaselly guy hanging around in the background who everyone else just seems to ignore for some reason, despite Kirk's protests. They have a nice glass of wine. Everyone, including Spock, partakes. Kirk makes note of Spock enjoying it way too much, which is kind of odd. After they drink, all of a sudden, everyone can only speak in truths. Clearly, something happened. Later on, we figure out that this guy who was in the background spiked the wine with some kind of truth serum or potion.
A little too blatantly literal for the title.
Yeah. So they have they all go around and announce how each of them deserve, or rather, they don't deserve to the mineral rights to the planet. And by the time they get to Kirk, they all decide that this has gone on too long, and everyone speaking the truth is not good for negotiation. So they'll postpone to another time.
I love that one of them is like literally, if everybody has to tell the truth, diplomacy as we know it will completely break down. Civilizations will fall. Like, wow.
Yeah. There was a lot of that was the conversation as they're going around and around and talking about how if everyone tells the truth, everything will be terrible was just hammered on just a little bit too long, I thought. But
yeah,
wow. They eventually, the Romulans, the Klingons are debating or arguing which government will take this Quince guy and torture him and make him die the slowest, the longest. Eventually, I guess since he's a Federation citizen, Kirk decides to take him, and they all beam back after they decide that the conference is going to be postponed for a while. There's some weird chatter about McCoy coming to the bridge, and Spock's goes off about he's not smart enough to figure out a solution for this. And then he turns around and says, actually, I think he can. And by that, I can tell you that the truth serum is wearing off.
That part made me laugh because, like, okay, now because Spock was really the only one who didn't really say anything offensive when he had to be telling the truth.
Yes,
and I was waiting for that, and then we get up to the ship's like, well, he can't figure that out. And I was like, oh wow, and then he wasn't. That was his lie. I was like, oh, that was both clever and disappointing.
Yeah. All right. So, ups and downs. I'd say this was about run of the mill for one of our animated series episodes. Would you say?
Yeah, sure. Still, it was kind of light. There were not any of the gaping holes that we would get out of an animated series, but still, what an average humdrum animated series episode, and it had the final stab at humor at the end when they decide that even though he did all of this, they couldn't really prosecute him. They had to let him go because, as Spock says, he didn't really injure anyone, and we can't prove that that action alone is what caused the thing to break down. As he said, Captain, he was, I'm afraid, telling the truth.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So, again, I think this would have been a much better. I would have followed it a lot better if it had been an animated episode, because then we would have had Klingons talking, Romulans talking. I would know who the two people that he threatened to turn him into at the very end, who they were. I would have had something to associate their name and face. Maybe if this was a record and I was sitting in my room listening to it, I would probably listen to it over and over again, and then I'd have an excellent grasp of who all these people were. But just as a once through,
or even with the comic,
yeah,
if you have the
certainly
comic to follow along,
yeah, that would have been a lot better. Something visually to clue them. As you said, they made a little bit of a gesture of having them sound vocally different, but after watching all those animated series episodes, I was like, is that the same guy that does McCoy's voice? Because it kind of sounds like McCoy. The whole way through, I'm like, wow,
yeah.
They get the character to do Mr. Scott to do all the other supply voices, just because. Anyway,
yeah, Kirk was not as spot on as from the beginning as he was last time.
Did you, by chance, which YouTube video did you watch? Did you one that just had the album cover?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a version of it that had animation to go with it. But I watched like the first 3 minutes or so, and like they had, for some reason, it jumped around a little bit, so that someone wasn't very well done. But the very beginning, one of the one of the counselors or one of the members of the delegation, they had as Mirror Universe Spock. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like they had a graphic of Mirror Universe Spock, so they were using that as one of the people at the conference.
Okay.
That was off-putting, so I turned it off and I went back to the album cover recording. That was just weird. I didn't appreciate that at all because that didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, so I thought the obvious card for this would be for the mission. Negotiate mining rights on mineral-rich planet between three. And anything else? I mean, the only other thing I thought of was Spock repeatedly yelling, "That face." That was just weird.
I don't know. I kind of wanted to be like a version of Rumpelstiltskin or something. I thought it was going to be something like that, or like Trelane, or somebody's coming along to mess around with things. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking something like an integrity related dilemma.
Okay. Yeah.
But a mission works too.
Yeah. So some couple of people, maybe high integrity, or the Dom Perignon. Drink that instead. All right. Very good. So do you recall what the next one is on the list?
No, I don't. The video I was watching tried to make me watch Space 2099 afterwards, or 1999, Space 1999, something. It was not the next episode.
All right. Well, no, the next episode is The Crier in Emptiness, which apparently a comic was published with. Apparently, according to this, there was no comic for In Vino Veritas. So The Crier in Emptiness. So have a look at that. Perhaps listen to it while you're looking at the comic. I wish they would show like a little rating about how it's only 12 minutes long. 1975. Another Alan Dean Foster. So we'll listen to that before next Monday, and we'll chat about it, as well as regional results. We got a regional coming up.
We do all kinds of stuff. We got regionals coming up this weekend. We have Tribbles, or 1E regional, Tribbles regional. You have a promenade raffle to run.
That's right.
Beforehand.
So that is coming up Saturday morning.
I see all the bins are locked, and there's a lot of looks like a lot of tickets in. I see a lot of highs and populars and highs.
Yeah, it should be fun. That starts at 10 o'clock Pacific time. We'll do the raffle, and then as soon as that's done, I'm going to pile everyone in the car, and we're going to race down to San Diego for the start of the first edition regional, which means I probably ought to have a deck put together by now, but I don't. So I'll be working on that over the next few days too.
Well, then maybe we should go do that then.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right. Well, that's everything we have for this week. But next week, we'll probably skip an episode since we'll have 2 regionals to talk about. By which I mean the recording.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. We'll probably spend the whole day talking about first edition and Tribbles, and maybe any spoilers we get, but we'll limit to that. That sounds like a good plan.
All right. And then we can go back to the special audio recording after that. So much to look forward to. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I am Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the regional.
And I will draw to end.